everybody. Welcome to Honey Tap Live. It's going to be a fun one. We're going to do some window shopping. Just a hangout basically tonight. You're listening to music that I created with my buddy Damon Pulias. You find it all on the channel if you like such things. Everything that you hear here is recorded with what you see behind me. If you're interested in any of that stuff, hope you will inquire. Man, what a night. It's been a long week. Not exactly sure how your week has gone, but mine has resembled a controlled hurricane. In a good way. I chose to go with this larger field stream tonight as opposed to the vertical streaming because we're going to look at guitars. We're going to go and shop, window shop. My favorite kind of shopping because then you don't have to spend any money. Or at least that's the theory. You know, stranger things have happened than going to Sweetwater, which is, we'll just go look at their website. And tonight I want to look at the 2025 Ibanez, the new Ibanez models, which just came out recently. Whew. Man, take that off. I feel like I'm being contained in those headphones. If I need to listen to something, I'll turn it back on. But yeah, we're going to look at the Ibanez guitars. Also, I'm going to give you some channel updates. My guess is we'll have a few friends of the channel jumping on to say hi, but if you are catching this after the initial release of this live, please subscribe, and if you're not already, but if you are already subscribed, thanks for being subscribed. I really appreciate it. That's the whole reason I'm doing this, is just to connect with the larger YouTube community, and if you're not aware of how cool that is, there are really a lot of awesome people that play guitar that go online all the time. And I look at this almost like a virtual guitar center, honestly. Like if you ever gone into a guitar center and had a great experience, met other musicians, or as I like to say, started playing with the bassist on the other side of the store on a song, and then you know what I'm talking about. It's fun. Tonight I am drinking kombucha, which is apparently good for you. But don't quote me. Kombucha is a type of like fermented drink that has probiotics in it. And this one is called pineapple spirulina. I know what pineapple is. I honestly have no idea what a spirulina is. But I think you'd have to have a special hunting license to tag one of those free-range spirulina. Yeah, man. So, long week, but this is nice to be just hanging out with the gang, more or less. Now, I have some big updates. The first update is that I have recently changed my channel name from what it was to what it is. What it is now is Honey Tap, and what it was, we shall not speak. No, what it was called Jedi Jingle Maker, but that term I've outgrown. So this is the new channel. This is the new way ahead. And I felt like Honey Tap was more representative of where I'm coming from musically. I had started out the channel as almost on a lark, and now I'm feeling much more, I don't want to say serious, but feeling much more driven to make it a place that we can all hang out, and also a place where I can release my music, which I love to create music. That's my number one thing to do. So if you're not familiar with that stuff, I'm always plugging it. Also, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. If we get to 20 likes tonight, I'm going to grab one of my Ibanez guitars, either the RG or the, see if I can get this right, AM93ME. That's the semi-hollow body that I have that I love so much. It's actually Macassar Ebony guitar. Super cool. Without any doubt. So let's see what kind of trouble we can get into. Okay, so that's the first announcement. Change the name of the channel to Honey Tap. I had to go back and rename all the content on the channel to Honey Tap. I did that with all the long form stuff. I haven't finished going back through all of the shorts, but in a rather short amount of time, I've got something like over 200 videos, and it takes a little while to step through them all. The other thing I did was I released my music in a service called DistroKid. I also master my music in that same service using their AI, which I think is like so easy and great to do because I'm definitely not a sound engineer. I can do the mixing pretty well, but the mastering is something I don't really know how to do well. And I just know that when you go through the AI mastering thing on DistroKid, it always sounds better, boosted, better in the truck. I use my truck. I have a Ford F-150. I use my truck as the ultimate test of if something sounds good. I listen to it on a regular stereo, and that's my kind of my best stereo actually is in the truck. It sounds great. So I'll play it there, and then a lot of times I'll come back and then remix it again, and then listen to it in the truck again, or remix it and remaster it and listen to it again until I get it to where I want it to be. But I found often through these studio speakers I have the Yamaha HS5s, I think they're called. They're like the 5-inch speakers, and they don't really represent what it's actually going to sound like through a typical stereo. You know, in a typical stereo, they're doing things to the signal that these flat response speakers are not doing, boosting certain levels. And I think you really want to do that to your tracks if you're wanting to make them sound as good as possible. I have some songs I'm working on that I am planning on releasing soon, so stay tuned for that as well. Okay, what other updates do we have here? Another thing we'll do is listen to one of my songs called Vanguard, which is all about the concept of fear. Sometimes I like to create songs that have philosophical ideas. I think a lot about philosophy and about useful philosophies for life. And, you know, back in places like ancient Greece, everybody had a philosophy. There were Stoics and other sects of philosophy, some mapped to like Socrates and Plato, etc. But I would say my philosophy is more lined up with something like Stoicism and maybe a couple other things. But I think it's useful to think about it. What's your philosophy for life? I can tell you one thing for sure, just my view is that everything you do matters. I don't mean that in some corny way. What I mean is like it's important what you do, every action, every interaction. You don't know what it's going to result in the ripple effect, but you know, you put something good out there, you're probably spawning a lot of good things. If you put something super negative out there, then you're probably going to harvest some of that. So I try to remember that. I don't always remember it. Definitely not perfect at all, but that's one thing. And the other thing is no one ever gets away with anything. So operate authentically and honestly moving forward. I don't know how I got on that subject, but yeah, that's where my head's at. So we're going to listen to the song I call Vanguard, which was one that I wrote. I composed a lot of that in FL Studio with things like piano and cello and violin and flute, but also put in some electric guitar over it, which is pretty cool. Welcome on if you're just jumping onto the live. I appreciate you. Don't be shy. Let me hear what you got to say. That's what makes this super fun. Also, I might actually, if we get some friends on here tonight, I might actually assign another moderator. I've got one moderator so far, but I sure could use more. It's nice to have a moderator. You don't get a lot of need for moderation here, meaning need for controlling like odd one-off chat concepts when they come in, or removing comments that are just clearly negative. But what you can do is also, you know, promote conversation, ask questions, etc. in the chat. So I think it's cool to have a lot of moderators, and I'm looking to start getting a collection so that this is as well run as possible. Okay, another thing that I am really, really excited about is that I have started to take guitar lessons again. Now, if you listen to my music at all, it might interest you to know that everything is winging it. Meaning, I have never learned music theory. I've really avoided it, pretty purposefully avoided learning music theory. I thought, maybe it was no need for it. And many of my heroes would say things like Eddie Van Halen would say it's music theory, not music fact. Turns out he was educated in piano and applied all that to guitar. So he had a pretty good background in music theory himself, which allowed him to depart from it. So my thought there was just kind of a misunderstanding probably of what he actually intended to say. But the other thing was Jimi Hendrix, not formally trained. And I think that allows you to go outside, color outside of the lines to some extent. But then there's a point where that you get diminishing returns. And I really felt like I should challenge myself this year to take lessons. And I found an instructor that I thought was excellent. I took my first lesson this week, and it online with this excellent guitar instructor. His name is Lester Mitchell. If you're not familiar with him, he has an outstanding channel, him and Bald Shredder and others. They're really great, both of them. But the first lesson was amazing. I've been practicing every day since. C major scale, 3-note C major scale up the neck, alternate picking, all kinds of technique stuff that he pointed out right away that's already improving and challenging me. And I just love to practice guitar, especially when it comes to like scales and so on, and scales in a certain key now. And now I'll start to be able to understand how keys relate to scales and how thirds relate to making chords and all these incredible concepts. And I think that's really going to liberate me on the fretboard to be a much better guitarist, which is one of my big goals this year. Now, I keep looking over here because I've got my chat up on the phone in case anybody chimes in. And so you'll see me look over there quite a bit. But yeah, hoping we'll get a little guitar playing in at the end. You can see I've got one or two around here. And in fact, a lot of these are less expensive guitars, but some are pretty darn nice. I would say I have a couple of Schecters that I would say are very, very nice. And then I have some more value guitars. A lot of videos on the channel that highlight my working with, say, Firefly guitars. And recently I discovered Jet guitars. And this is a good example of what I'm talking about. I don't think it gets much more classic looking than this. 3 single coil pickup, maple neck. This is actually a what do they call it? Caramelized maple neck or roasted maple neck. And I've been amazed with these things. I am also amazed to say that this cost $200 shipped. It's from a company out in California called, I think it's Kairon, Kairon. Since I bought that guitar, this is the first time I've ever bought a guitar of any kind where I haven't changed the strings and I haven't felt the need to update the pickups. But yet I still will. I've got a couple of modifications planned for it. But I bought one Jet guitar. It has a real classic sound even though the pickups are ceramic, and I wouldn't have expected it from ceramic pickups. I've always had kind of so-so experience with ceramic pickup guitars, but that one I love so much so I didn't even take off the strings. It's played well with the strings that came on it. So I've never really encountered a guitar like that out of the box, even the more expensive ones. So very impressed. I bought that first one and said, I'm buying a second one because I've always wanted a white, an Olympic white, like Hendrix used to play, and like the Hendrix guitar in Woodstock, if you know that guitar. Yeah, with that maple neck. I had a poster of Jimi Hendrix with that, playing that guitar at Woodstock in my room, a life-size poster, and so I stared at that every day of my childhood, basically growing up, and it's ingrained in here. So I had to get one. So I got one, and that one plays incredible. I actually took that on a business trip out to California with me not too long ago, and it's light enough too that it wasn't too hard to kind of carry that thing. I don't know if you've ever taken a guitar on a plane to fly somewhere. Now when I fly anywhere, I bring a guitar because I don't want to suffer the separation from it, meaning even also the stress relief of it. If I'm working and I've traveled, I'm on the road, I can come back to the room and I'm playing guitar for an hour, probably an hour, hour and a half in the evenings. And then in the morning, if I'm in like a different time zone, say I'm on the East Coast going out to California, that's a 3-hour difference. And so my typical time of just waking up naturally is about 6 a.m. I just wake up naturally and I'm up at 6 a.m. So if I'm in California, I wake up and I'm awake at 3 a.m. in the morning. So I will try to sleep in longer, but typically I'm up by 3:34 and ready to go. And so I'll play guitar for an hour in the morning, and it really just sets me where I want to be. And I've actually come up with some song ideas while doing that I brought back and immediately recorded when I got home. So really fun. And another thing that I love to do when I travel is to bring a small amplifier with me. And I've got two that I absolutely love. One is a Spark Go, which is a tiny little amp. We can bring it out if you want, and I show it if you have any interest in it. But Spark Go, that thing costs a little over $100. You can Bluetooth in backing tracks. It has tons of amps. For a little tiny speaker, it sounds fantastic. I mean, it's a tiny speaker. It's like as big as my hand, basically. But that thing goes right in the guitar case, and then I can play anywhere I want, and hear it, as opposed to just playing an unplugged guitar. And I always like a guitar that sounds good unplugged, though. That's something that's a big deal to me, which is that, first of all, I can feel the vibration through the body of the guitar when I'm playing it. I like that. That's why I like ash guitars, because ash wood just vibrates so much. And I absolutely believe that it has a big effect on the tone, big to some extent. I don't know what percentage, but to me, even if it's mentally, it has an effect. That it sounds good. And I found that if it sounds musical, for lack of a better word, when you're playing it unplugged, it typically sounds pretty good through an amplifier, even if the amplifier is kind of inexpensive. So I bring that. And now I recently got a Spark Mini, which is right here to the right of me. And if I end up getting to 20 likes tonight, I'm going to play on that. And it sounds, I think, fantastic. So I'll probably bring that. That one is actually, it's a 10-watt amplifier, but it's loud. It's got a speaker underneath it and one in front, and you can stream backing tracks to it. So, I like to play outdoors in cool places when I go to places I don't live. So that's going to allow me to do that. I have some plans on an upcoming trip. I'll use my after work time to do that, to set up. And the other thing is I've been streaming some live performances on the channel lately, which you can see if you look back in the lives. Really enjoying that, getting into singing. Many of my songs I've sing in them as well, so singing and playing guitar, refining my set list and what I do. And now I'm starting to feel the pull to going and playing out in public again. And years ago I used to play with a band. I had multiple bands, and we would play out in all kinds of venues. And to be honest, that got kind of old and for me after a while. And that actually, I drifted away from playing guitar for about 25 years. I really didn't pick up. Every once in a while I would pick up a guitar and play it, but really kind of lost the interest. And I think what I really like most about guitars is the ability to create music, to create original music, and then play that original music. That's what really floats my boat, so to speak. And I realized that, well, first of all, holy moly, there are lots of guitars now available in places like Sweetwater, which is where we'll go, and they are much less expensive, I would claim, than they used to be. I mean, the fact that you can get a $200 guitar that I'm excited about playing and want to play over many of my more expensive guitars, that's mind-blowing. And I think that's so cool, too, for kids getting into guitar. I would encourage anybody to explore an interest in any instrument they have. I don't think there's any instrument quite like the beautiful sound of how you can make an electric guitar just sing or cry almost. I think it's amazing. Maybe a saxophone might get you close. And I need to find a good saxophone player. So if you're watching this and you play saxophone and want to collab on a track, shoot me an email. So yeah, taking guitar lessons and really loving that. I got my next lesson on Wednesday. Now, if I were to say, I live in a small coastal community in Central Florida. If I were to go to my local music store and take a music lesson, I would encounter somebody who I'd never met before. I don't know if we're a good fit, like instructor student wise. I don't know. They may be technically not as proficient as I am, for instance, which would honestly kind of bum me out. I want somebody who is far superior technically to me so that I can just kind of barely imagine being as good as them, and I can move towards that in a tractor beam like fashion. And that's really what I think I'm in now. I was blown away. We went on the guitar lesson through Google Meet, which that was the first time I actually used Google Meet as well. And I was almost a little freaked out that it was that easy. And I was thinking, it's so much easier than going to a guitar store, navigating the labyrinth of everybody in the store, finding somebody you're not sure if you like, having to travel to it. This was somebody that I'm absolutely in awe of their technical ability, and it could not be easier. And the other thing is, like, any time basically I want to reach out to them, I can shoot an email back and forth, and they're right there. And in addition, I can go to their live streams and ask questions there, and it's been absolutely amazing. I'm so excited about that. I'd encourage you to explore that kind of thing as well this year. You know, all the New Year's resolutions. I'm wondering how you're doing on your plan this year. Do you have a plan this year? I have a plan every year. And my plan this year is to really focus on all the dimensions of wellness in my life, like health, eating, exercising, drinking water, and also expanding my interests, expanding on the things I love the most, which of course is music, but also to focus in on doing a fair amount of surfing, which is something I do. I live about 4 blocks from the beach, so that's a pretty cool situation. It's typically pretty warm. A warm ocean filled with sharks. I like to say this sometimes. My family's been bitten by sharks 3 times. No fooling. In fact, the only viral video that I've ever made, which is about 9 million views now, I think, was a video of my son in a surf contest when he was bitten by a shark, which was kind of interesting. Some dolphins came in and got involved, and, well, anyway, the rest was history. I have a goal on this channel. That's to get to 100,000 subs. Actually, on one of my channels. I have several channels, but I'd like to get there on at least one of my channels. So yeah, taking lessons. Now I'm giving you this stream through the Zoom L8 mixer. Hopefully it's coming out loud and clear. Another update for you is that I finally pulled the trigger on something I've been wanting to do for a very long time, and that is to build a kit guitar, to build a guitar that comes in pieces, unfinished wood, and put it all together and cross whatever bridge there is to cross to get something that plays well. So I went ahead and did that. I ordered it, and it cost about $90 with shipping. Oddly enough, I got one off of Amazon that got about 900 reviews and a lot of good reviews, so I'm excited about that one. I'm wondering how it'll turn out, but I do plan on doing that as soon as I get it, starting it. And I think I'm going to either stream the process, or I'm going to just make a video that shows the process over time. I wonder. The one I got is a Stratocaster style guitar, and it comes with one of those 6-screw tremolos on it that you'll see on, like, the guitar that I just showed you, that Jet has that style. And rather than overcomplicate it, I'm not going to change any of the parts that it comes with initially, but I'll then upgrade it after, I'm sure, if I like the way it plays. And the bridge probably be something I'll end up changing on it. Inexpensive tremolo, vibrato, whammy bars, whatever you want to call those things, wiggle sticks. They can tend to cause tuning issues if they're not locked down tight. So one way is just to lock it down. There's a lot of ways to do that. Another way is to never use it. And that typically works too. But I saw the Bald Shredder had a video where he just recently made a kit guitar. Well, it wasn't a kit guitar. I think he got the pieces from various places and then put it together. But I noticed it had that same tremolo cavity in it, like for a tremolo, but he put a fixed bridge over the tremolo cavity. And so I think I'm going to do that, but that'll be like phase 2 of this guitar experience. And by working on some of these less expensive guitars, I managed to generate a nice little collection of tools like fret files and all manner of things to give me the confidence that I can make this guitar into something that'll be a guitar I'll want to play, as long as the action isn't all messed up or I don't get some kind of dud, which could happen. So yeah, the kit guitar. Stay tuned for the kit guitar videos. All right, now final update before we start window shopping on Sweetwater and looking at the new 2025 Ibanez guitars, which were recently released. And we have also the NAMM show coming up. I've never been to the NAMM show, and I won't be going to this NAMM show. They've continued to hold the event despite the fires that were out in Los Angeles, so I think that's a good thing. And someday maybe I'll go there, but before I even do that, a big goal I have is to go to the Sweetwater campus and explore that. Recently I was having a chat with my buddy Music and Gear channel, and he actually he was telling me he went and traveled to Sweetwater. He had that same goal, traveled there with his wife, and that Sweetwater actually has a spa where his wife was able to go and enjoy her thing while he was enjoying his thing, which, if you know anything about and he was telling me about how the Sweetwater campus is laid out and the kind of things that are there, and I just wanted to go more than ever. So someday, that's definitely on the bucket list. And another thing that I'm thinking is probably on the bucket list would be to go to a place like Texas Toast Guitars, or one of these guitar places where you build a guitar with a master guitar builder like those guys and come out with a product at the end, but you get to really spend a week, immerse in there, build something with your hands, meet a bunch of cool people that are into things you're into, and come home with a guitar that will be imbued with deep meaning. I think that would be absolutely amazing. So that's another life goal of mine. Making life goals. Why the heck not? Now, some of the songs that I write, they have sections in them where I use a fuzz pedal sound, a fuzz effect on the guitar channel. Not a lot, just a little. And I want to play those songs in my live performances, but the fuzz I used was in the DAW where I created the tracks. So I don't have actually I could probably, I'm almost 100% sure, on my Spark Mini I could dial in the fuzz sound. But I've really been enjoying getting into pedals lately, so I went on this quest. I asked on a lot of streams that I was on, what's your favorite fuzz pedal? And I also asked my sales engineer at Sweetwater, Ray, what he thought, and I trust his opinion like no other in music. He's served me well so many times, pointed me to the exact right thing. And I always say this, anytime I've gone in a different direction than what Ray recommended for me, it's always been a mistake. And in fact, a couple of those times I have returned what I got and then gone immediately to what he had originally recommended. And what he recommended, a couple classic types of fuzz, but what I wanted was a little initially, but based on, I was just asking him, what would you pick? And he told me. And I listened to some sound demos of those two fuzz pedals that he recommended, and they sounded great, like really vintage, like that Hendrix fuzz sound. If you're familiar with that kind of classic late 60s fuzz effect, which I like, but I was going for something even a little bit more obnoxious than that, to be perfectly honest. I asked Robert Blake, who's a cool guitarist on YouTube, great channel, another great channel. That guy's got the touch for sure. What his was, and he pointed out one that was what was it called? Mythos Argo. I think that's what it's called, Mythos Argo. And actually, I contacted the Mythos Argo person who has a channel as well. They were sold out, but I was thinking I was going to get that. It's like they call that one an octave fuzz, so it actually has an octave effect in it as well that you can dial in, which is also more. That was more towards what I wanted. But then I stumbled on this fuzz pedal called the Way Huge Swollen Pickle Fuzz. We'll look at that when we bring up the Sweetwater site here shortly. But that one really seemed like it had the tone I wanted. Basically listening to a lot of demos. I asked Ray, hey, is this one good? What do you think of it? He said, oh, that's a great one. You know, so with that blessing, I immediately did it. And actually, I set up them. I'd like to do this, leave like breadcrumbs in my path that I can move towards. I know how my mind works, and if I do that, if I make things to look forward to, I'm able to, you know, treat yourself like somebody you love. That's my advice. And, you know, somebody you love, you might put an incentive in front of them if you knew that that was going to motivate them and that incentive would be something positive for them. So I do that for myself. And I purchased the beautiful Way Huge Swollen Pickle Fuzz pedal, and I am going to be receiving that. I just got an email today. It said receiving that tomorrow. So stay tuned for the Fuzz-tastic streams coming up next. Okay, so yeah, those are all the major updates. But before we get into the shopping, let's listen to, put this on. Let's listen to Vanguard, which is a song that I think relates to a lot of what I've been saying here. And it has a person in it who's named Krishnamurti, Jiddu Krishnamurti. If you're not familiar with him, he was I would say an intellectual, perhaps I don't know what you call him, philosopher. It's hard to describe what he was exactly. I wouldn't say that he was necessarily associated with any religious viewpoint, but I would recommend you check him out if you don't know him. But I love his stuff. There were actually two Jiddu Krishnamurtis, but this one is the older Jiddu Krishnamurti, who has a number of his talks are captured on YouTube. You can go watch them if you're interested. But in this song, I wanted to address the concept of fear, you know, which I think is something that everybody can relate to, potentially. I think it relates to guitar as well. I certainly, when I was getting back into guitar and the idea of playing again, I definitely felt that fear. And you know, it's limiting. Why would we be afraid of things which, you know, are in many cases quite silly, like, you know, performing and having somebody not like what you do or not like you, or the 10,000 other fears. So I wrote this song inspired by that concept. Let's give it a listen and see what you think of it.
We have many, many fears. Fear of darkness, fear of living, fear of public opinion, fear what my neighbor might say, fear of my wife or husband or the girl or the man, fear of insecurity, fear when you have security economically, fear of that you might lose it. Fear, we have got so many fears. Fears. You have solved the problem of war, that is to continue war, and you have applied your brain to prepare for war. All the vast generals on both sides, or 1,000 sides, they're all preparing for war. Plan, submarines, air, all the rest. They've exercised their brain to produce war. If we could put aside all what they have said, because after all, it's all what they have said, maybe merely verbal. They might be as scared as you. Probably they are. Same brain applied to this enormous sense of fear man has from the beginning of days. Why? What is fear? I met several of them. I know they're scared like you about something or other. Why have we not solved this question? And is it possible to end fear? We're going to go into apply not only your feelings, your emotions, and your brain to work at this, not escape from, not try to rationalize. And you know when there is fear, the nature of it, how it throbs, how your physical, the organism shrinks, how your brain becomes idle, almost paralyzed. What is fear? Or the root of fear? Time and thought. There is no division between thought and time. Thought is time. Either we deal with the root of fear or we trim the branches of fear.
Yeah, you can hear that 60 cycle hum, right, when you have it on that one pickup. Put it in the in-between position, you kind of get rid of that. All right. Yeah, so this guitar sounds pretty good for what it is. Learned some good techniques from Lester this week that I've been practicing at C major scale. I realized I've been pinning my fingers down. Like I'll play it and then keep that one down, keep that one down, keep that one down, which is you call pinning your strings down, but really you have a better experience if you bounce on the string. So every string is touched on and the last one is let go. I could, now I see how that would free your fingers up for techniques like legato and so it's so much more efficient. It's been a game changer. So I've been practicing the C major scale quite a bit. Making plenty of mistakes. It's amazing when you're used to playing something incorrectly for so long. Like I would do that kind of thing, or I developed certain habits of how to do that. And if you look at that compared to what I just did, it's a pretty big change. I have to think about it so that I execute it. Going back, reverting to the old habits. The other thing is to learn all the chords of the C major, all the C major chord progressions from each position in the C major scale. So, yeah, exciting. Okay, enough of that. I'm getting a lot in here. A little sweaty. I opened up the window. Maybe I'll open up a little more. Okay, let's get to it. Time to window shop, y'all. All right. Let's jump over to the Sweetwater website. See what's shaking. Try to resist the tractor beam like pull of gear. Well, that didn't work. All right, I need to make one change. Okay, there we go. Mastering the OBS streaming software. Something that everyone can potentially do. Get better at it every time I use it. So hopefully you can see that. Waiting to see if it comes up on this view over here. There's a little bit of a delay. And again, if you're jumping on the stream, please let me know what you think. All right, so we want to look at the 2025 Ibanez gear. let's navigate to it. Ibanez. I have several Ibanez guitars, and you know, one of the things that they've done this year is they've released a less expensive line of the AZ series. And if you know what the AZ series is, it's basically a play on like Strat style guitars. Like there's one right there. So it's reminiscent of a Sur guitar, or Sur guitar, depending on how you say it. And they can be pretty expensive. You see this one, the Prestige AZ224N. That one goes for about $2,000. So you gotta have some flow to get that one. I have a hard time spending $2,000 on a guitar for a variety of reasons, but not the least of which is that I think you can get really great guitars for a lot less. But let's just sort here by most recent, newest products is what they call it. Okay, which gives you everything that's new. You know, before we go there, let's I'll tell you what, I'll open up another window if at all possible. What's the easiest way to do that? I want to show you the fuzz pedal that I bought. And that is the Swollen Pickle. You see it comes in two varieties. The one that I was recommended to get was this one. It's just, even though it says small, you see there's a small and then there's the one that's not the small. But apparently the small is the one that is about the standard size of like a Boss pedal, apparently. And that's the one I got. You see I got 20 reviews, 5 stars. So that's no coincidence. Very versatile. This guy says it's versatile. Probably the best green fuzz. Lots to offer. Doom metal, desert rock. I don't know what desert rock is. Fuzz nuts rejoice. Fantastic. Made a fan out of me, yo. Yeah, so I'm excited about this. Got a lot of good reviews. It was recommended by somebody I trust. And it's got the right size. You know, I've only got so much room on my fuzz pedal. So much room on my pedal board. And this one will fit. It's got onboard scoop and crunch, which I've seen people dial that in online, which looks pretty cool. They say it's really configurable for a lot of different sounds and easier to fit on the board. So if you're looking at a fuzz, or even maybe you didn't know that much about fuzz, this might be one to check out. But there's really so many. It's a lot of fun. That's the thing I like about the pedals. There are so many different types. It's a deep hole to dig in. Okay, so let's start stepping through it. The new, this is Tim Henson. The Tim Henson guitar, which is, I think, pretty popular. If you know who Tim Henson is, he's from the band Polyphia, amazing guitarist, prog guitarist, I'd claim. Modern, highly technical, a lot of really cool picking techniques. That's a 7-string guitar. Now, I am not a fan at all of the Tree of Life fretboard. I find it confusing. I just really like to be able to see where the frets are well. In fact, the Nick Johnston HSS that I have a hard time seeing the frets on that one. That's my one gripe. Is that if I look away, I kind of lose my track of where I'm at. If it's dark, like if I'm doing a live stream on that guitar, I can very easily lose track of what is which fret. Now, sometimes I'll play with my eyes closed type of thing, and I can find where I'm going. But if I'm really trying to do stuff that's difficult for me, I like to know where I'm oriented. And on this type of fretboard, I just have a hard time knowing where I'm at. But it is beautiful. It looks like it's got that roasted maple neck. This is a prestige level guitar made in Indonesia. Looks like it's got the locking Goto tuners. I really like those tuners a lot, so well done there. It comes with a case. Interesting. 12-inch radius. Oh, that's interesting. 24, so it's got stainless steel frets. It's 24 fret stainless steel. frets. It's got the Fishman Fluence Tim Henson humbuckers. So he's got his own line of humbuckers. Which I suppose provides the Tim Henson sound. I've never used them though. Hey there, Ubi. It doesn't help me at all. I'm always lost in the fretboard. Yeah, you and me both, brother. Lester's trying to help me out with that. Once I'm done going through Lester's Jedi training, I should be able to instantly find everything. It's got that Goto tremolo too. That's kind of nice. Looks like they got it cut out though, scooped out in the back. Nice, but not for me. 7-string. I bought a 7-string guitar. I tried to love it, but just never did. That extra string. It's like maybe when I completely master a 6-string, I'll move to the 7-string, but I really was not comfortable on it at all. Okay, here we go. The RG. $3,000 RG. Look at this one. Holy moly. I do like the Ibanez low profile trims though. I think they're excellent. If you want to do that flutter thing, I don't know of a tremolo that does that better, which I think is sort of cool. Get fluttery. Again, that Tree of Life. This one's even worse. Jeez, the fret things look like little berries on the vine of life. I guess they call this one the vine of the Tree of Life. Interesting. Yeah, what's the big deal on this one? I wonder why it is so incredibly expensive. What's it made in some place that... Okay, it's got the multiply neck. I'm trying to see where it's made. Not that that really even matters that much, honestly. Interesting. A luxury level RG with all the trimmings. Oh, they call it a J Custom. Okay. Fast J Custom Super Wizard. Necks are thin, built for speed. Yeah, all the Ibanez necks are so thin. I love the way the Wizard neck feels. I've got was basically $450 Ibanez RG PB, 420 PB that I love, even though it's an inexpensive guitar. And it's got that. I think you can get into the Wizard neck experience, that more flat fretboard and real thin neck, real speedy neck, comfortable neck, for about $450. Of course, it's going to be nothing like this one. Here we go. Expertly crafted in Japan by Fujigen. I had a feeling. Yeah, the Ibanez line of guitars, they are, I believe Ibanez is a Japanese country, but they manage guitar factories all over the place to their standards. So the ones that are made in Japan are like synonymous with the Stratocasters that are made in the United States. So they're custom shop more or less. I think it's got all the luxury trimmings, DiMarzio pickups, Macassar ebony fretboard. Ooh, that's nice. I didn't recognize that. Yeah, I like that Macassar ebony. Hoopy said, yeah, the blue RG in the second row is calling my name, but bank account says not happen in this decade. Yeah. I don't know that the day will ever come where I spend $3,000 on an electric guitar. But more power to you if you got the clams. Put them on the counter maybe. Okay, the Paul Gilbert. I love Paul Gilbert. Big fan of Paul Gilbert. Oh, that's an interesting take. Yeah, I think they call that the Iceman body. And I used to wonder, what's the thing with the big block inlays? But now I know it, so you can find the fret markers. It's just a great thing. Look at those jumbo frets. Man, that thing looks pretty cool. And interesting, I'm not a fan of having the string pull through the nut at an angle like that. I know it's probably not a big deal. My guess is that's probably a graphite nut, but still, why? Why, I say? Oh, and that's kind of interesting. Look at the way the heel comes in. It almost looks like it's a bolt-on, but it's not. Yeah, not that thrilled about that, although it's pretty. If you could play it like Paul Gilbert. Yeah, it's the Iceman was the original body type that's turned actually upside down from this, which I think Kiss used, the band Kiss. And I think Paul Gilbert turned it upside down and called it the Fireman. Ultra fast feeling 3-piece neck. Akume body. Interesting. Yeah, not really my cup of tea, but I could see why people be digging that one. Oh, here's another $3,000 guitar. This one's got the Wilkinson trim. That's kind of pretty. Interesting fret markers on that thing. We got the hot rail pickups, so we got the humbucker pickup. I'm not actually familiar with Andy Timmons. But I'm willing to go out on a limb and say he's probably amazing. The roasted maple neck. And here's the thing. The last $200 guitar had a roasted maple neck, and the thing plays like butter, a jet guitar. It's amazing how these inexpensive guitars are changing everything. That you could get a guitar for $200 that would evoke that, even that sentence that it's a butter neck. Got the DiMarzio pickups. Surprised they don't put what they call an alter switch on this one. Oh, look at that tremolo. That's a weird tremolo. What is it? Let's see what tremolo that is. Neck hardware. Wilkinson Goto. Huh. VSVG tremolo. I'm not sure what that is. However, it's like a 6-screw trem, but it's got missing the middle 2 screws. I mean, it's got the bent steel saddles on. Look at those saddles. Wow. Learned something new. I haven't seen that before. Yeah, I like this, the way they do these necks. The way they contoured in there. I have played some of the Ibanez's that have that, and it is very comfortable. All right, now we're coming down to earth. Genesis series. It's got the shark tooth inlay. Yeah, the Genesis, I believe these are made in Japan as well. This is like one of the least expensive Japanese models of Ibanez you can get. Robert Blake, he is a Robert Baker? It might be Baker. I might be saying his name. But he's a big fan of this. He has a yellow one that he talks a lot about. I don't think I could get a fluorescent yellow guitar. I don't know that I could pull that off. The Wizard neck. Yeah, from the 80s. Yeah, so these have gone through a couple iterations. If you're not familiar with the Ibanez fandom page, it shows all the history of all the models of Ibanez guitars. That's really interesting. You can see how guitars like this, where they were manufactured over the years, what changed in each model. It really has a great in-depth history of all this. Let's look at this real quick while we are on this subject. There it is. Ibanez fandom. Yeah, and then it's pretty easy. So you can do Genesis. Genesis collection. And boom, gives you the history. Genesis guitar collection. Oops. Is a range of solid body electric guitars produced for Hoshinagaki and sold under Ibanez brand. Yeah, so it's made in Japan under that Hoshinagaki, which was referenced in that other guitar area as well. The name was first applied to the line of reissue RG series guitars that offered only in Japan into 2013. And then the other models followed. It was meant to be a more affordable access point for Japanese-made instrument in the existing Prestige line. Throwback guitar. The RG 550. Yeah, that's the model, the RG 550. And it's kin. Led Ibanez's emergence in the late 1980s. Yeah, when Ibanez first came out, man, I wanted one so bad. They seemed like the ultimate guitar to me. I was big into like Kramer Beretta style guitars and that kind of thing because Eddie played that. And then Steve Vai was the one, of course, who really popularized the whole Ibanez thing, and 7-string guitars I'd claim as well, ultimately. I think the Steve Vai Gem guitar is the #1 selling guitar for Ibanez. Pretty sure about that. I hope I'm not misrepresenting the situation. All right. The Ubi says I had a RG 550 back in '94. God, I was such a lughead kid back then. Didn't know what I had. Sigh. Oh no, you let it go. That's brutal. Yeah, well, maybe it's time to start thinking about a next one. I'm thinking about a next one right now. I'm going to look to see what we got for RG 550 while we're on the topic. I think they added a color, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so they have black. There's that yellow one. Not much for black guitars. The colors are not the ones I would naturally pick. None of these colors would I pick, but I have a feeling that if I played one, the color wouldn't matter at all. Yeah, look at that. Oh, that's so pretty. Oh. And yeah, you can get into one of those for $1,000. That blue one, yeah, Ubi, I'm with you. Oh. Okay, that one's on my short list. They're not that heavy, really. Well, 8 pounds. I mean, it's not ultra light, but I wonder what kind of wood this is made out of. 5-piece laminated neck. I got basswood body. That makes sense. Yeah, I like basswood. Yeah, those things are beautiful. It's got the HSH setup too, which is a good setup, in my opinion, to have. I think there's a school of thought which would say that many pickups has a pull on the strings, but I think we're probably overanalyzing the situation at that point. Interesting. And then live I did a week or so ago, we read an article that was about lefties should thank righties, basically. That the way that these guitars, like maybe this Prestige, ends up being manufactured is that the original model itself gets popular enough that they invest in retooling to be able to build the left-handed version of it. I'm a sucker for that maple neck. That thing looks so cool. Another Prestige. All right, here we are. The value level Ibanez RG. Ibanez AZ. Yeah, this is the new hype, I suppose, for Ibanez, which is that you can get into an AZ for less than $1,000. They've got that same. That's interesting. I don't think I've seen any Ibanez guitar that has this back contour like that for this price, but maybe I missed one. The roasted maple neck. Does it have locking tuners? Are those locking tuners? I just either I'm getting a guitar with locking tuners or I'm upgrading the locking tuners every time because I just don't like. Oh, they are Ibanez locking. Man, so it's got some interesting higher level stuff. It's got the plastic nuts. So I look through this and I think, what would I have to do? What would I have to do? to upgrade it to make it just really great. And this one, the only thing I'm really seeing is that maybe to upgrade the nut to something like a bone nut or graphite. So the flame maple top, it's got the roasted maple neck, 22 frets. Interesting. Yeah, 22, 24 frets. What's the call? I really think it makes a difference, especially in terms of where you put the humbucker. I had a guy tell me recently that he put a set of Seymour Duncan JB pickups in a guitar with 24 frets and it didn't sound right. And he called the Seymour Duncan and they told him that it really isn't made to be put in a 24 fret guitar, that it sounds best when in a 22 fret guitar typically because of the positioning. And that makes a lot of sense to me. Of course, it makes a big difference where the pickup is in relation to the strings. I mean, that's why I have a pickup selector in a lot of cases. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm not loving that color, but I'm a sucker for blue guitars. And I like that it's not a rosewood. It's just a maple, roasted maple neck. Man, that's sweet. Yeah, me too. Maple, oh Lord help me. A good roasted maple neck, yep. I'm not a shredder, so 22 is fine for me. Yeah, I can relate to that. Yeah, I used to think I definitely, I wouldn't claim I'm a shredder, but I would say that I used to really want to trend towards 24 fret guitars just because you can get that 2-octave range and I could kind of find stuff. I could just move whatever I'm doing, like say a pentatonic box down lower, just bump it up to that new position always. Whereas with a 22, you're like, oh, I can't get there from here. So that can tend to throw me off. But I really think the 22 fret gives you a much more classic tone. And the older I get, the more I want that classic tone, the more I appreciate the sound of like a single coil pickup or, like the humbuckers just in the right place. But that's pretty. It's too bad they don't have any photos of them yet, but it looks like it's saying here, hot new item. You expect these to arrive in several weeks, estimated in February 2025. One time I did that. I ordered one without the picture being on here, and I wasn't that crazy about the experience, honestly, because they end up giving you the first one that pops up and is available, and then you can decide to take it or move to the next one, so you aren't able to compare to the next one, so then it starts to be, I start to feel like, wow, what's like a game show? I'll pass. Show me the next one. And then I'm thinking, are there like 3 other people that are also doing this? And how do I know that I don't know. It may be a little bit neurotic, to be honest. So now I think I'd like to just see the picture and pick the one I like. And by the way, if you ever don't like a guitar you get with Sweetwater, they're amazing. I got one that I didn't like it. Let's just put it that way. I don't think it was a Sire guitar. I'm a huge fan of Larry Carlton and his work with Steely Dan and all that kind of stuff, session guitarist of the 70s. And the Sire line of Larry Carlton guitars is excellent. I played a bunch of them in Guitar Center. They played really well. But the one I got, I just didn't like it. And I could have had it set up. But, you pick up a guitar, I'm going to claim, the first 5 minutes you're playing it, like there's songs in this sucker. I just need to squeeze it like a sponge and get all that sweetness out of it. Or like there's nothing here. I'm not connecting with it. And if that's the case, I'm over it. They used to say that about moonshine. This is a 12-fight jar. That there were a certain amount of fights in every bottle of moonshine. I think there's a certain amount of songs in every guitar. And that's amount of songs could be, for me, 0. Now, the only thing that bums me out here is the fact that it's got a 6-screw trim. No particular reason why I think that. They can be fantastic, no problem. Many of the PRSs have the 6-screw trims. They work great, super stable. So it's just not my thing. And I really think they're missing the boat by putting a wiggle stick on every one of these. If you're like me, you're not really trending towards constant use of the wiggle stick. It's nice, but you don't need it. And it also introduces, especially in less expensive guitars, the possibility that you're going to have some tuning issues. And that's a nightmare for me. I don't want tuning issues. That drives me absolutely up the wall. But still, these are interesting. So yeah, wow. 3 colors. A lot of higher end stuff, features on those. Ooh, hoo, 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 hoo. Oh yeah. I sort of like that one. Look in the F hole, but it didn't show the manufacturer. I bet you it's Indonesian. But yeah, blew it. We got some shrubbery growing up the fretboard here. Semi-hollow body. Ibanez just makes such fantastic semi-hollow body classic guitars. It's got that like Gibson Les Paul style heel on it, but with the strap on the back of it. I don't love the strap on the back of it, but I understand why you have to do it on these semi-hollow bodies. Ooh, beautiful. Very, very nice. It's interesting bridge on that thing too. I do like that. And I like the gold pickups. Let's see, Super 80. Yeah, I have the Ibanez semi-hollow body I have has the Super 58s, which I would say are some of the finest pickups possible in a semi-hollow body. I mean, I love those pickups. That guitar is fantastic. Yeah, it looks like it's got the same setup as that one too. What a pretty guitar. Bet you those pickups sound great too. Flying finger designs. Historic style. Yeah, Ibanez is just famous for their semi-hollow body. Macassar ebony fretboard. Oh, that's kind of interesting. It's more of a high-end, comfortable 3-piece neck. Yeah, I bet you that guitar is sweet. But again, with the shrubs growing up the fretboard, not my thing. Apple green. It's kind of a cool finish on that thing. And I do like it when they have the cutaway for the trim. I mean, if you're going to go with the trim, I'm saying 2-point trim is my pick generally. Yeah, looks a lot like the one we just looked at, but it's the Prestige line. Suppose that's the new color. It looks like they've got a lot of other models. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. Ooh, the Axe line, yeah. Let's look at the Axe stuff on the fandom page. Axe Design Lab. The Axe Design Lab was introduced by Ibanez in January 2023, a collection of experimental electric guitars in the form of varying string configurations, 6, 8, 9. The Marzio Fishman. Yeah, I have an impression these are all made from metal, which is cool by me. Looks like they've got quite a few. Here's the RG52 ET. That looks like the one we're about to look at. Of course, the 8-string guitars. Wow. Very interesting. All right, let's see what this one is. Wow, look at that fretboard, man. That's sick. Gold Fishmans. Yeah, I didn't realize if you leave when I first got the active pickups, that if you leave it plugged in, the battery runs out. And also that some people will actually purposefully drain their battery down a little bit to give it that sound that they can get when you don't have a fully charged battery. This one's got that Evertune bridge on it, which I am also curious about. It's supposed to be excellent at holding tune. You can actually make it so that when you bend the string, it holds tune. That's appealing to me. Oh yeah, reverse headstock, classic for metal. I think that makes a difference too. For the sound of those strings to have a longer, let's say, scale length behind the nut, let's say. I think they missed the boat, though, by having the truss rod adjustment up at the top of the neck. No problem, most guitars have that, but some of the less expensive guitars I've gotten have the truss rod now down at the base, and I just, that has the spoke wheel adjustment. It's so much easier to adjust the truss rod when you have it like that, as opposed to going up to the top and having to navigate that L wrench in there. Of course, this style of guitar from Ibanez has this very easy to slide to the side access, so it's not that hard to actually get to it, but you still have to probably loosen both the D and the B string in order to turn it and then retune those back up. So it just creates a bunch of additional steps, in my opinion, that you can avoid if you have the truss rod adjustment at the heel. Look at that neck. What the heck? Is that just a stained neck? I think it's black as the heart of a beaten dog. Maple top, yeah, a 3-piece wizard neck. Did they tell you anything additional about the neck? Might just be stained. The Evertune Bridge, Fishman Moderns for pickups. Plastic nut? That's surprising. Yeah, that always disappoints me. I mean, this is a $1,400 guitar. I mean, would it kill you just to throw in a decent nut? Plastic nuts can be fine. It's just, I think that's really, really blowing it. Oh man, we're intentionally not looking at the basses just because I'm curious about the 6-string guitars mostly, but the electric guitars, not the basis right now. Black acoustic guitars automatically seem sort of odd to me, but I'll tell you that some of the Ibanez acoustic guitars have really been excellent when I played them. I mean, they almost play, well, let's see. I wonder if one of these, yeah, the AEG 70. Let's look at this one. This is not a new guitar, but I've played these before, and even though they're inexpensive, I would say that the neck and the way they play was easier than most acoustic guitars. I always sort of struggle on an acoustic guitar, especially the acoustic guitar I have now, and I would like to get another acoustic guitar, but it wouldn't be a black one. If you play a black guitar in Florida, outside, anywhere, and I think acoustic guitars are made to be played outside if you can every once in a while. Of course, they're kind of obnoxious too because they're so loud, so whenever you're playing, everybody has to hear it loud and clear. At the same time, I'm kind of got a tendency to be a little obnoxious, but the black guitar will get so incredibly hot. It's like having a black surfboard. You put surf wax on your black surfboard and it's immediately melted as soon as you got in the sun. If you put a black hose outside with water in it in Florida, it will have scalding hot water in any time during the summer. Scalding hot water in no time. It's just amazing. Like I have black shirts. I only wear them 3 months out of the year because I wear them any other time outside. The sun is so bright that you're immediately just drenched in sweat. That would be a good metal song. Drenched in sweat. Oh, interesting. More black acoustic guitars. All right, Committed. Well, that's kind of a pretty one. AE 3007 FMH. Yeah, people are always complaining about the serial numbers of the guitars. I can see why they would do that, the way Ibanez names their guitars, but at the same time, it's not that hard to figure it out. It is kind of self-explanatory. The model, the submodel, and then some descriptions of the finish or the type of wood. So I get it. I don't have a problem with the way they name them. What the heck? Okay, before we go to this thing, tenor acoustic electric ukulele, or as the cool kids say, ukulele. I don't want to say that again. But this is an orange semi-hollow body. AS73. Yeah, that's just a tick above their AS53 and their AM53. The difference between the AS and the AM is that the AS is slightly more full-sized, more like a Gibson 335 size body, and then they have the AM, which is a smaller size. Actually, the Ibanez semi-hollow body I have is an AM. And I do like the slightly smaller body. But the AM53, the AS53 that I have, some videos on the channel about that, is really nice. Has an amazing tone, but I had to do a lot of work on it to get it to the place where I liked it. All right, I can't resist. Why? Why? Nylon 6-string ukulele. Wow. I'll admit I'm curious. Whoa, the neck through design. Look at that with like this, the heel carve for what, speed or something? A $300. That must be like pro level ukulele. Ooh, I kind of like that one. Look at that one. Yeah, they're certainly elevating their ukulele game. Pretty neck. Made in China. A 300, no, this one's 200. A $200 6-string ukulele from China. Sounds like a strange way to go. Ooh, this is a pretty one. That's the kind that you really get the benefit out of shopping at a place like Sweetwater. They don't have pictures yet. Looks like this one is also scheduled. Looks like they're scheduled to get a whole bunch of Ibanez guitars in February. Wow, so many new models. Interesting. I can't resist this one. Look at that. Well, that's kind of neat. It's a headless bass with Fishmans. It's got an ash body. That's not an ash top, though, is it? Oh, pale moon ebony top. That's pretty. I typically do all my bass lines with MIDI now, so I'm not that interested in basses right now. One of the more expensive AZs. Wow, some beauties. How many more news are there? Lots of acoustic guitars. Ooh, I am sure curious about these. I'm going to steer clear of the 7-string, but I've been looking at these for quite some time. They're the Q guitars. The Q54 is one that's pretty notorious. And they have a lot of varieties of these now. Okay, so get an open box one for $110 off. I wonder what's wrong with it. I always like to look to see what's wrong. All right, I would have done that in the first 5 minutes of taking it out of the box, knowing me. Is that it? Wow, that's all that's wrong with it. For that, you get $110 off. Beautiful maple fretboard. It looks like it's got that bird's eye maple neck. That's what they call it. Maple Babinga neck. Babinga. 2 yards. Welcome aboard. Hey, man. Welcome. You were window shopping for guitars. That's a beauty. Sort of partial to this one. I like the way they do that cut in. I think it's mostly just for style, but still. Look at how light they are. Man, I've got an Ibanez guitar that is heavenly. Plays wonderful. It's an SEW 71, I believe is the model. What happens to me when I look at these is I'll find a design that I simply must have, and that's the slippery slope. That's where I can't hold on to the sides. I just slip right into the hole. I don't know if you ever saw the movie The End. The guy falls in the hole as the earth is opening up and the world is ending, and the guy falls in the hole and he goes, "Help me." And they're running by. "I can't help you. It's too late. You're already in the hole." Yeah. I'm trying to avoid the hole, but I could be in the hole at any minute here looking at these guitars because I really would like one of these. I would really like a headless guitar. Actually, Strandberg is making headless guitars now that are a little bit more affordable. All right, yeah, 2 yards. I have an Ibanez Hallbred in Mars. Nice. Yeah, those are cool guitars. This one I'm curious about. I don't think I'd ever get it, but I'm curious about it. It's a made in China. I don't know why I point that out, but it's kind of weird looking. It's like a strange acoustic guitar. But the reason that I'm kind of drawn to it is because it looks like you'd have upper neck access on this guitar, and it looks like it has a little pickup in it. So I wonder if it sounds good. I think the idea here, it's an electric acoustic guitar, acoustic electric, whatever you call it. I think the idea is that they play more like an electric guitar. They say it revolutionizes comfort. Never played one, can't vouch for it. But it's got me curious. It's a crossover acoustic electric guitar. Yeah, so probably more comfortable. Oh, we're out of the new territory, and that's where the new territory ends. Very interesting, but that's a new one. Wow, that one's kind of cool. I'm a sucker for gold hardware every single time. I don't like the slanted frets, though. I played them, and I would say it doesn't really make that much of a difference. It still didn't really affect my ability to play them, but there's something about it. I've just become used to playing certain types of guitars, and this one I'm curious about. Very curious about. I don't know if I would shell out $1,600 for this thing, but it's a pretty one. I'm just automatically made nervous by the idea that that bridge there just rests on top. That's why they have that foam underneath so it doesn't scratch up the guitar before they sell it. But I have questions. Having never owned one like this. I understand the concept of why you wouldn't want to secure it to the hollow body because it's hollow and it could like potentially damage the thin wood there. Charlie Christian pickup? Is that what that is? Or is... Let's see. You have resident hollow body construction. Charlie Christian pickups. Yeah, there it is. Pickup harkens back to the iconic Charlie Christian pickups of the Jazz Age, delivering warm and mellow voice with exceptional depth. Well, that sure sounds amazing. That sure sounds cool. That's a great looking guitar. I don't know if anybody on the stream has heard of the Delvin Lamar organ trio, but I'm a huge fan of the Delvin Lamar organ trio. And the guitarist, Delvin Lamar, I believe it is Delvin Lamar who is the guitarist. He plays a couple of old hollow body guitars, and the tone he gets, it's amazing through, you know, classic amps, something like a tube amp, a good old Fender tube amp. But yeah, I could do this. I could do this. The headstock is a little weird. I'm not saying weird bad. Just weird different. I'm not opposed to weird. I'm kind of weird. Ooh, nice. Sexy time neck. Ooh, that is nice. That is nice. Wow. Well, the black one's pretty nice too. Matte black. Fingerprint magnet. But that pickup is sweet. Cool looking. Pat Metheny, it says there. So you have to settle for that, having the name Pat Metheny. Not sure how I feel about that. That's what would turn me off from getting like a 5150 guitar. Is I'm a huge Eddie Van Halen fan, but I don't necessarily want that identity to be on my instrument, which I look at guitars as like it's like a paintbrush, you know, and I want it to represent something original that I'm creating, and therefore having it branded with somebody's name right on it, kind of a turn off for me. Now, oddly enough, this one right here, the Q52 Pale Moon Ebony finish on top. I believe it's a veneer. Don't quote me on that. Man, that appeals to me. Looks like they only have one left. So either this is the only one they have gotten up on the site yet, or it is the last one left, but it always makes me pause a little bit when I see there's just one. And I do things like look at how the strings line up over the screws or the poles on the pickups. Of course, they could have the guitar tilted a little left or right, and it wouldn't actually be a good representation of how true, I would use that term, how true the strings go from the nut down to the bridge and over the pickups. I like for all that to line up really nicely. And this one, you can see it wanders a bit on the bottom. It could be a lot of things. I'm no luthier, but then I look at gaps. So you can see on the right-hand side, there's a little gap on the right. And then if you look at where the pole piece lines up, it's a little to the left of the string. That's the kind of thing like, nah, I'm out. That's not the one I want. Not if I'm spending $1,200 on a guitar. I want little things like that, because that'll be the kind of thing that gnaws at me. My OCD will flare up, and it's hard to unlock from that. But is that beautiful or what? Here's another thing. I like this side angle look at it, and you can see I like pretty low action. Doesn't have to be incredibly low, but you can see that looks pretty low. Those frets look beautiful. Gold. Are those gold frets? I wonder if those are the Jezcar frets. No way. Jezcar being the more high-end fret. There he is. The man, the myth, the legend. Playing it. Oh, it's got the Dynamix 10 switching system. That's really cool. Gives you so many. That's that little switch down here in the lower right. I've got that on one of the guitars that I have from Ibanez. Lets you get a lot of, with the push-pull on the tone pot, and then with that you can get something like 9 or 10 different tones on one guitar. But I'm curious what the frets are. This one really is in my top list right now. That and the RG550. Yeah, 2 Yards says, I'm not a signature person either. I agree with you. I play eights, like the action on the deck. Yep. Yeah, I play nines, but same thing. I like it low. But I don't want it so low that it's like buzzing on an open strung chord. Which, you know, you have a good enough guitar, that's probably not going to be much of an issue. Look at that. That thing's so pretty. Wizard C. Neck. EVO gold frets. Interesting. Long-lasting durability and effortless note bending. Wow. Yeah, I'm into it. Just go a little further, and then I'm going to jump around to a couple guitars that I love that I'm also always looking at. Ah, no, Ibanez hoodie. I didn't know they sold Ibanez hoodies, but they're new Ibanez hoodies. Wow. Not gonna lie, sort of gnarly. I didn't know I'd be shopping for black hoodies. I'm digging that one. Oh, but it's, wow, $44 black hoodie, but I think I could rock that one. Oh, here you go. Here's another one I've been looking at for sure. It's cool with that same color pickguard, but hollow body. I don't have a hollow body yet. I have semi-hollow bodies, but I don't have a hollow body. And to get that real classic hollow body tone, I think you got to have a hollow body. And again, my little test, looking at the lineup of the pickups. You can tell me if you think that's totally neurotic, stupid thing to focus on, but look at this one. It lines up. Once it's the kind of thing, once you start looking at it, you can almost not look at a guitar without doing that immediately. And I just like that. Another thing I look at is the distance of the strings from the side of the fretboard. Are they about relatively even? Is the spacing between the strings, in other words, the positioning of the nut, I think does that. Is that about right? And I suppose, depending on where this bridge was positioned, it could change the orientation of the strings over everything. So I'm sure I don't know what I'm talking about. It's just that those are the kind of things I focus on. It seems kind of heavy for a hollow body guitar to be 6 pounds. Got one review and they love it. Unexpected sound and ease of play. Pretty darn nice. There's some beauties. Look at this. This is an interesting one. This was, I believe, last year's new. But as an inexpensive Ibanez, this is a lot like the inexpensive Jacksons that they have the same kind of just like oiled finish. Kind of like that. Maranthe. They make a lot of their bodies out of Maranthe, which I think is a pretty light wood. My RG 421 PB, which is the same guitar as this, probably made in the same factory. It's made of Maranthe, and it's a nice lightweight guitar, which I really like that. And they do the smart thing here. They have just the fixed bridge on a cheap guitar. So don't even try to do the tremolo thing. Just go fixed bridge. If I want a tremolo, I'm going to spend a little more so it's not a janky thing. And as I look at this, looks like things are lined up pretty well here, but then look at the neck pocket. See that? Little gap. See a little gap. I like a tight neck pocket. Yeah, what do you expect for $350 on a guitar? Well, probably shouldn't expect it to be like a $3,000 guitar. That's to start. But it would be that kind of thing that would just irritate me. I can't have things like that that make me nervous. Made in Indonesia. Yeah, they got the scarf joint neck in the back of these. That's another thing I'm not thrilled about, but I've had no problems ever with a guitar that had that. But it looks like it's got that scarf joint. There's a little cut here in order to give it that angled headstock. Pretty cool. Floating bridge helps line up. Okay, yeah. I need to expand my experience. Get into, next time I'm in a Guitar Center. I still love Guitar Center. I know it's kind of it is what it is. But, man, the idea of just having 100 guitars on the wall and being able to play so many of them, it's really wonderful. I hope they never go away. You keep hearing, well, maybe they're not going to last. And I really hope that's not the case. But I'm not really doing much to help them because I end up going and buying guitars off of Sweetwater almost exclusively because it's so convenient. Oh, that's interesting. New color on the AZ31. I actually have an AZ31, and I kind of botched it because I went and did fretwork on it, and I ended up overdoing the sanding on the frets and screwed it up a bit, and I just kind of put it in a bag and forgot about it because I was kind of bummed by it. But it played really well. That's a short scale guitar. And before these new AZs, I think this was about the only way to get kind of close into the AZ experience. You see, it doesn't have that cut in like the new $550 ones they're selling. But this one is not like this. This is intended to be a student guitar. The AZ, here's an interesting thing. The AZ videos that I made on the channel, I actually had that Berkeley guitarist instructor. I'm forgetting his name now, but the guy that basically made the AZ design with Ibanez, collaborated with Ibanez to make this. He actually put a comment on my video and said, thanks for making the video. I thought that was cool. I think he did, and I saw that he had comments on other videos of this guitar, so that was kind of cool. Wow. Yeah, here we go. Collaboration with Berkeley professor and YouTube sensation Tomo Fujita. Yeah, that was who left the comment on the channel. That was awesome. This is a great guitar, but it's a shorter scale guitar, I believe. Oh, no, it says here, yeah, 25 inches. So Gibson Les Paul 24.75, standard Strat 25.5. This one's a 25. So for a Strat, it's a little bit. Yeah, I was never a fan of the bleached white back neck. I gotta say, it makes me nervous too. I didn't know it was bleached white. I never heard of that, but yeah, it is oddly white. And then they get dirty over time. They kind of take on a grimy appearance. My RG had this bleach white neck, and it's going through that process. Pink guitars. No, they call this rose gold. That thing's pink. But look at that. It's got the truss rod adjustment at the heel. Keep thinking I'll buy a nylon string guitar at some point. Never do. I've never found one that I play and I'm just drawn to it. One is the width of the neck is uncommonly wide, and that makes me think I'm not going to enjoy playing this over the long term because I'm just old dog avoiding new tricks kind of thing. I'm not digging the color at all. Yeah, $200 Chinese ukulele. I'm digging the indigo blue color though. I like that. That was the RG550 had that same color. Looks like they got a lot of that paint. It's a pretty guitar. And another interesting thing here is it got the sound hole up on the top, which I think is pretty neat. Yeah, it has to do with that idea of playing acoustic guitars, and they're so loud they just project, but most of the sound is coming out of the front, out of the sound hole. When really, you probably want to hear it, not have everybody else hear it, maybe. But this would favor me. I would like to have the sound hole up at the top so that I hear it. And if I'm playing and performing, it's going to be plugged in, and it won't matter if it comes out the sound hole. In fact, it might even be just a little bit distracting. But look at how light this is. 4 pounds, 4.8. Not 4.8, 4 pounds, 8 ounces. Yeah, I'm curious about that. It says, I think that is more of a hybrid where the neck is a little bit less wide. There's the Iceman of Kiss fame. The Paul Gilbert signature style. Yeah, I don't know why the F-hole's here. I think Paul Gilbert's just kind of a creative dude who does what he likes, but I've never been a big fan of this whole artificial F-hole thing. Nice neck, Goto tuners, gold tuners. Oh, nice and light. That's a cool guitar, but the F-hole thing just throws me off. Yeah, nylons just never have the sustain. on the strings, in my humble opinion. Yeah, that's for sure. I never thought of that. They don't have the sustain. Yeah, it's more like wanting to be played as like a staccato kind of percussive feel, or like legato type of thing. Ooh, the Scott LePage. On the Polyphia scale, although I think Tim Henson is absolutely amazing, I would trend more towards Scott LePage. His playing style. I like that. I like those fret markers too, the way that they're so unique. But that it would be so easy to see where the frets are, having those like vertical blocks. I think that's really cool. This is a guitar I'm also interested in. They call it the Chris S10, but you can tell it's got the AZ body. So it's basically an AZ as far as I'm concerned. But better looking, in my opinion. I don't know if it's better playing. I have no idea. Made in Indonesia. Got those gold gotos on it. Beautiful. Roasted maple neck. That's a tasty one. I'll take two. No. This one is kind of odd. I'll say it's odd. Huh? Why? What? Creativity. That's why, I guess. Yeah, but look at that trim. Look at how small the block is on that. It's like super small. That's a red flag for me. For $700, I'm going to claim, give me a bigger block back there, because it really does make a difference in terms of tone. Classic 3 single coil Strat thing. It's got the roasted maple neck. It's got the almost straight pull through the nut, which is nice. Oh wow, look at this. You see the nut? You can see the plastic on either side of the nut from when it was filed and not like removed. That's kind of interesting. I don't know why that is, but that would be a red flag. Yeah, this would be a hard no. This is a hard pass. That's the Ichika. The Ishika. Like those headless ones are looking same artist. Not my cup of tea. That body shape. But I do like Ichika. I think he's pretty amazing. But it's not the kind of music I would really choose to listen to. It didn't seem like real melodic. It's really super highly technical. I guess you could almost say like borderline prog style stuff, which is really interesting. It's super hard to play. But oh, 2 yards. Yeah, you had a Talman, but you sent it back. That's interesting. Yeah, what didn't you like about it? Certainly is a cheap guitar, right? But I love to try them. Ooh, this one appeals to me. Kind of a Telecaster inspired sort of thing. That's a really unique body style. It's an AZ, but it's more like the Tele shape of an AZ. What is that? Is that a mini humbucker up top? All right, foul ball. Why do we do this type of saddle setup? I'll never understand that. I have 2 Telecaster style guitars with this on it, and one of them is able to be perfectly intonated. The other one is just a little off. Why? It's like the same reason we don't drive Model Ts. They don't have anti-lock brakes. Why do we have a 3 saddle barrel style? Maybe it makes a difference to the tone? I don't know. To me, just go with the 6 saddle bridge. It's a pretty guitar though. Holy mackerel. I bet you it plays like a dream. Look at those jumbo frets too. Ooh, that looks like it's got nice low action maybe. Yeah, let's see what that humbucker is. Top shelf tone. That's my favorite kind of tone. Oh, it's got Seymour Duncan pickups. Dynamic switch. S-Tech wood roasted. I'm not sure what that means. You know, they say guitarists always want the classic stuff, and bassists always want the new stuff. I found that to be true. Much more progressive designing stuff in the bass category. Oh, this one's got stainless steel frets. Nice. Locking tuners, I believe. Very interesting. I'm going to keep looking to see what's next. Holy mackerel. What? What is happening? How many strings is that? It's hard to count. It's easy for me to say because I would have zero hope of ever playing that in any way that was comfortable for me or anybody else to experience. But you look at somebody like Tobin Abassi, an absolute wizard of musicality. He can do things with these guitars that are hard to imagine doing 10 years ago. And you got kids that are 13 years old that can take an 8-string and blow minds. So I'm not a hater. I'm just saying it's so foreign to my experience. It's hard for me to understand why anybody would buy it. It doesn't mean it's not good. 9-string guitar. A 9-string guitar, but still they weigh 8 pounds. They must have that, yeah, the Nayato. I don't know. 8-string guitar. Pretty fretboard. Yeah, you know, if you get to replace the tuners, you just have to go get the 9-tuner replacement kit. Look at that thing. Wow. I want to see somebody play that because I know there are people that could play it and just blow minds instantly at what they can do with it. For me, it's hard to conceptualize even where you would start. Oh, there's another one. It's another good-looking guitar. I'm kind of digging that bridge there. Kind of like that. I don't know if I guess that's metal. It must be. I think one thing when you have that long stretch of strings from the bridge like that is you have to be careful of maybe some string chime down there too. But maybe that adds to it. That's interesting. That next just looks sweet. Yeah. Beautiful guitars. Whoa. A shredder ukulele. How is that? That's 4 strings. Ukuleles are big. Maybe I'm not hanging out in the right crowds, the right circles, but I'm not encountering a lot of ukulele time that I'm drawn to. Whenever I've heard people play ukuleles, I tend to want to say, stop that. Please stop that. Or do that somewhere privately. But hey, what do I know? I know what I like. But that is weird, man. That is full on weird and wild. For $250 too. I mean, it seems like they're super expensive. Like we were saying about the nylon string, yeah, ukulele, right? Yeah, there's something that does. It feels like giving up on your dreams, man. You can do better. You don't have to buy the ukulele. And the gem guitar. Not a fan of the gem guitar. This one, though. Oh, ho, ho, ho. This one. Oh, mighty nice. Mighty nice. That's got that bleached maple fretboard, though, it looks like. It's almost oddly light colored. But I think I could hang with it. Bet you that thing plays like a beast. I played these Ibanez Prestige RGs, and the ones I played were amazing. Really worth it. Like, I could see spending. Nah, it's hard for me to imagine spending $2,000, but I could see spending that much on a guitar that's just going to be a dreamer. I think these more expensive RGs probably fall in that category. This is one I looked at a fair amount as a way of getting a hollow body that had a little smaller body size. Yeah, made in China, but they tend to get pretty good reviews. Let's see what it says. They've got the Super 58 pickups in it, which are those awesome Alnico pickups. This is funny. Sure grip control knobs. Like you put rubber around the knob. Is that what we're really saying? That's a feature worth calling out, and it doesn't make any sense to me. But the Gibraltar Performer bridge, quick change ultra tailpiece. That heel of that guitar kind of turns me off, and so does the gloss neck. I've got a couple guitars with gloss necks, and I just have to take the step and do the sanding of the neck and turn it into something different. I know how to do it. In fact, I need to do a video of it, but I've been hesitant. Something about sanding a neck always makes me a little nervous. I don't want to screw it up. The other thing is I don't want a neck that gets kind of sticky, and they do definitely get kind of sticky. Yeah, you don't like the Bubba knobs? Yeah, me neither. I don't like that they point it out like it's a feature. It's like, dude, I could just take off the knobs. Buy new knobs. I don't get how that's a feature. That's like maybe a $20 upgrade tops. No matter the best knobs. I don't know, unless you get like gold knobs of gold. That sounds like an album. Knobs of gold. Look at my knobs. If only you had knobs like mine. These Geo, this is a classic little Geo. I've played these before. I was pretty impressed with them, actually. Nice. Looks like comfortable heel. Look at that, even the nut looks pretty decent. Is that one on the right a little bit slanted? It's hard to say. It's like the nut's pretty decent. It has the roasted maple neck. I think this is one of the first ones in a popular guitar company that they put a roasted maple neck in a inexpensive model. But the Geos are known, I think, for being pretty decent for the money. If I knew somebody was just getting into guitar, especially, or like a kid and is getting into guitar, you know, that might be the direction I would go. I'd probably go to a place where I could buy one and play it and make sure it was okay before I would actually recommend it. You know, like buy this one because we know it's not messed up. Sometimes it's luck of the draw, you know, on these cheaper guitars, what you're going to get. Yeah, there's that. I'm going to go back. That Steve Vai gem guitar, but it's like a variant of it. The PIA 3761. For only $3,500, you can have this one. With the Steve Vai, I think those are Fishman pickups, aren't they? One single coil, two humbuckers. Yeah. Let's see. There's Steve Vai. Look at good old Steve Vai. He's aging well. Gotta love Steve Vai. Steve Vai was like saved me from the emotional distress I encountered when Van Halen broke up and reformed as Van Hagar. It felt like the end of the world musically to me. I was like, but I have Steve Vai. I followed David Lee Roth to his work with Steve Vai. And then Steve Vai's first instrumental album, well, it wasn't all instrumental, but it was very Frank Zappa-ish. I thought that was so cool. Mind-blowing to hear what he could do there. He redesigned the monkey grip, which is that handle grip. And of course, all of the putting the tree of life up the fretboard. This one doesn't even have the dots. So you got to sort of know your stuff here to find your way around. And even the shrubbery goes up onto the headstock. That's kind of cool. I mean, it's an interesting looking guitar, but I would never pick it. Oh, it's got the scalloped frets up at the top too. Wow. There's that classic neck. Alder body. I like alder bodies. Yeah, what does PIA stand for? That's a good question. Let's ask. Oh, actually, what degree is Sandwedge? What denomination is Lakeside Church? Oh, interesting. Yeah, let's see what PIA stands for. I think it will be here in the fandom page. Well, I suppose it will remain a mystery. Paradise in Art. There we have it. Yeah, you're right. 2 yards. It is stupid. Stupidish. Not stupid. Sort of find this kind of interesting. And I'm not being sarcastic. I really do feel like it's kind of interesting. If I were to get a guitar like this, I call these X guitars, but if I were to get one, I think this is the best, one of the best looking versions of this guitar. I certainly like the fact that it's got the contoured edges. I'd prefer that they didn't square it off, but I think it's supposed to be pointy and square and angular, so I mean, I do get why they do that design-wise, but I think it'd be more cool if they just kept it, rounded it off. I don't know if you've ever seen the Solar guitars, but those guitars are really... Yeah, Olaf. The name of the guy that makes these, but they have a lot of X variant guitars. They call them Type X. Pretty cool. I'm not sure, but you may have to pay shipping in addition. But more or less metal guitars. They have interesting variation on the Telecaster. Super pointy. Gosh, Telecaster body, but almost all their models come in like mega count string models, 7, 8 string guitars. But I think for metal guitar, they really hit the mark. super pointy. It's just a matter of time before I bang that into the wall and break off one of those points by mistake. I'm way too clumsy to be trusted with guitars of such. Let's see if we can go. I got one saved here. Let's check this out. I'll show you this cool guitar site that I bought 2 guitars from last year. Both were a good experience. I follow this guy on Instagram too. Located not that far outside of Los Angeles. Actually, not that far from all that Pacific Palisades stuff that's been happening. But they sell some interesting guitars, and one of the brands that I've been most curious about lately in terms of value guitars was Jet Guitars. Really sort of blew me away. I saw a couple videos on it decided to give one a try. And the one that I got, you see they come in HSS. They have these HSS that's a lefty. They got a bunch of lefties. Here's a righty. Yeah, so they have this style, which has the 2-point trim. They come with the roasted maple neck. These necks, I'll tell you what, really good. Really good. And the fit and finish was all good. All the tolerances were tight on both of the ones that I bought. I bought one, which was, I'll show you the one. I can show you the actual guitar, but I bought this one, which is just a classic Stratocaster style guitar. And 3 single coils. And people said, oh, the pickups sound great. You know, they play great. And they were right. They really were good. Now, this guitar is manufactured in China, but it's actually manufactured by a company that is located in, I forget the name of the country. They actually sell them on Reverb too, but when you go on Reverb, you'll see that it'll take you to the Kairon, if I'm pronouncing that right, website, but also take you to the official Jet Guitar place. But then you can also go to the Jet Guitar website. And I'm looking at this because I think I'm going to buy another one. It's a matter of which one. I never thought I'd be so into this style of import guitar, but they've got, it looks like almost something like, I'd say Sur Guitars, however you pronounce it. They got all these different series. So I got the 300 series, which is their lowest level. This one. Really pretty guitar, but so much better than like if you have ever played like a Firefly guitar, like you can get good ones and the neck's pretty good, but this one blew it away. I mean, like no comparison out of the box, no comparison playability, and the sound, nothing was like janky. You get some of these guitars and you go like, who would do this? You look at the way the electronics are wired together. It's like, how did that happen? Where did this come from? I don't even understand what thought process would lead you to do some of the things that you see in those cheap guitars. This one, everything made sense. And I'm a sucker for this because of the love of Jimi Hendrix that I have. And seeing him play this sort of guitar. Of course, he didn't have roasted maple necks, so we got it even better. But yeah, it really appeals to me because of my guitar heroes. So, when I got the original one that I got was, you could see that they just look really cool. And they do things like, they've got superficial stuff like the pickguard. See the pickguard? It's got that 3-ply pickguard, but it's a really nice pickguard. And the bridge is really solid and nice. And everything is just tight. Yeah, I guess I'm a fanboy for Jet Guitars. I mean, why not, you know? Is it good? Yeah, so I think they tell you where they're from. Contact. What's the country that they're from? Well, there's some from somewhere in Europe or let's see, what's the name of the country? Well, it doesn't much matter. I bought this one. First, I'm a big Tom Misch fan. Oh, thin neck? Yeah, thin. Right. Very, yeah, nice and thin, but solid. Not like so thin that you flex it when you're playing it type of thing and pull it out of tune. Like a solid one-piece neck. Yeah, and I was playing one for a little bit at the beginning of this thing. I still have the original strings that it came with. I intended to modify them. So I bought this one. I haven't modified it yet because I've just been so content with it. Yeah, so I bought this guitar and it played so well I just bought a second one because I figured I want one that keeps the original pickups. I don't want to change the pickups because I do actually like the sound. It's unique. And I bought another one in order to put in vintage Fender noiseless pickups. And the next thing I want to do is explore potentially getting the HSS one, which the one that we just looked at, it had the 6.6 screw trem in it, but if you look at the HSS one, it has the 2-point trem on it, and all the same, everything else is the same. However, on the 300 model, on the heel, it has the back plate just like a standard Fender Strat style, but on this one, the HSS, it has this carved in heel. So this one really has a couple of cool upgrades. Again, another 22 fret guitar. Another one that I was curious about was this one. Let me get to it. This one. I probably wouldn't get the black one. I would probably get this one. The Telecaster. And again, look at that. Oh, what a relief. 6 saddle bridge. That's a rather nice looking guitar, I would claim. I think that's a bone nut too, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong. It's got 2 single coil pickups. It's actually a single coil up top. Looks like a humbucker. And it's string through. If you go for the less expensive Telecaster, this is a pink one, then it's not string through. You can see. And it has the janky 6.3 barrel bridge. So, yeah. See the strings just go right through here. That's not my cup of tea. And they have some more advanced models. They actually sell for pretty expensive, decent amount of coin, I'd claim. But you start inching up, and then you get to this one, which is their 450. 2-point trem, squared off body. Nice. They have some relic versions, which I think are kind of interesting. And then we get up into the 600 series. As the number goes up, the price goes up, the features go up. And then you start to see ones that have these headstock that have the same finish as the body. And they'll, for instance, have Alnico pickups as opposed to ceramic. And then when you get up to this level, the 1000 level, the headstock is different. And oddly enough, it's still 22 frets, which I'm cool with. This one has an appeal to me, and there's a number of people that have made videos on this model, so if you're curious about it, you can certainly find them. But apparently it plays really well. And it's not hard for me to believe that it would be worth the money that they're asking for this one. Yeah, the 9.5 fretboard radius, so it's got a classic feeling radius. Bone nut. I don't think it has locking tuners, but which would be the one area that I wish they would have done that. But I found the tuners on both of my cheap ones to be great. But I did already buy hip shots to replace on one of them just because I've got to have locking tuners. And I kind of dig that headstock. I think that's kind of neat. I was never stuck on the Fender Stratocaster headstock, to be perfectly honest. I like it. It's fine, but I actually like this jet headstock more. This is the one I was looking at just because it's 212. 212 shipped. I was wondering if it would be a bad experience, you know, because I'd never purchased from this place, but it was shipped quickly, came no issues whatsoever, and played beautifully. First 2 cheap guitars I ever bought. I haven't changed the strings. Yep. Oh, hitting the hay 2 yards. Yeah, nice, man. Hope. Oh, you subbed. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'll sub you back. I gotta jump over to your channel and do that. I appreciate it, man. Have a great night. Thanks. Good getting to know you. Yeah, so I'm thinking about this one. Yeah, and it's getting awfully late. It's past my bedtime too. I better get to bed. I'll be up until 2 o'clock in the morning. That's what happens on these lives. This is the kind of thing I end up doing anyway, but it's even more fun when you're kind of chatting. So yeah, Jet guitars. It was fun looking at all the Ibanez guitars as well. The only last thing I'm going to do before I sign off is look at one of my favorite guitars to look at here, which is the Schecter Reaper 6. Because this is on my radar, I'll show you the one that would really consider getting. And that's because it has a Sustainiac pickup, and I'm telling you that this humbucker, this Schecter, I think they call it the Diamond Decimator. They have all these weird names for their pickups. Sustainiac Diamond Decimator bridge humbucker sounds so good. It sounds good clean. It sounds great. I mean, it sounds amazing clean, but it sounds absolutely amazing with tons of gain on it. It's like a great heavy metal pickup, great metal pickup. Lots of dynamics, lots of clarity. It's one of the best pickups I've ever played. I'm going to claim I don't like any humbucker pickup more than this one. And of course, the Sustainiac I'm super curious about. Look at that one. You see how Schecter, man, the strings line up with the pickup pulls. My pet peeve has been satisfied. I've got one of these, but I've got it in the, look at that. They call it swamp ash, but an ash body, multiply neck. That's a set neck. The thing vibrates like crazy. Man, what a beauty that is. Plays like a dream. Nice flat shredder style neck, 24 frets. This one has the Floyd Rose on it. The 1500, which is the more decent one, but it's not the best one, but it's good enough as far as I'm concerned. Jumbo frets, ebony fretboard. It's got all the things that I kind of look for. The ash body. It doesn't have locking tuners, but to me, who cares? But this one's on my list. And the price is $1,200, which is certainly not cheap, but in my opinion, you get what you pay for here. And it's a matter of finding the one that looks like what you want to get. But it would definitely be the blue one. Blue guitars rule. That's an Ibanez thing. Yeah, really nice. All right, so on that note, I'm going to end the live. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on. Especially 2 Yards and the Yubi. 2 new subscribers to the channel that I'm stoked to have met tonight. Met over on Lester Mitchell's live, which was a great one tonight as well. You should go check out his channel. Give him a sub if you like this sort of thing. I sure appreciate it. Appreciate the support. Let's go to see the cam. Here I am. Cam, I am. Now the question is, do I continue? I'm a little revved up after these lives because I have a lot of fun doing them, thinking about this stuff. Do I go out and watch a little TV or just go straight to hit the hay? I think I'll rev down with a little bit of mindless boob tube and then hit the hay. So if you're watching this now and you made it all the way to the end, if you watched it after the live, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And to all who are already subscribed, thanks for checking this out. And let me know if you have an Ibanez, what you think about it. Have a great night. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Don't get into a bad fight.